Welcome to Make Salt Lake. We are a community-run makerspace. We work a lot like a shared shop. It's a place for people to get together and work on projects, use equipment, share ideas and inspiration, and learn new skills while having access to shops and workshops and equipment that they wouldn't normally have. We've been around since about 2013 as a nonprofit entity here. We were started by 6 or 7 guys in a garage that just wanted to take an opportunity to share rent, share some tools, and work together as opposed to each renting their own individual spaces. It started to grow from there, has been in several different locations before moving here to the Utah Arts Hub, and we've grown from those 7 or 8 people up to over 300 members that we have today. We have a ton of different workshops here at Make Salt Lake. Over in this area we've got our paint and spray booth. Then we've got our portable with our co-working space. We've got 3D printing, we've got electronics, we've got a small photography area. We've also got a kids corner where kids can come and work with Legos and art supplies. We've got our wood shop here with all of our industrial woodworking equipment. We've got our center shop that has our laser cutters in it. We've got a machine shop with a mill and lathe. Then we've got a Tormach metal CNC as well. We've got our metal shop with welders, cutters, grinders, all sorts of different metalworking equipment. Back here in this building, we've got our Textiles Lab with sewing equipment, leather working, jewelry making, Cricut vinyl cutting. We've got a print shop with large format printer, laser printer, inkjet printer, button makers, all sorts of general office supplies. And then we've also got our XCarve CNC room where we've got our brand new XCarve set up and ready to use. Let's go check them all out. So this is our co-working space. This is one of our newest areas, and it's a place where we've got a bunch of these comfortable couches, workbenches, and places for people to come together and collaborate, work on projects, and all sorts of things like that. We've also got some general use computers in here that people can use to be able to use programs like the Adobe Suite or Inkscape or Fusion 360 to work on their projects. This here's our 3D printing lab. These 2 printers are our main printers. They're nicknamed Frick and Frack, and they are actually custom built printers that were made by a couple of our members. What's really cool about them is that all of the green and orange pieces that you see on these were actually 3D printed using other 3D printers. So we're able to make and replace those parts as needed, which is really fantastic. This is a really cool area. You can make all sorts of really fascinating things from little tugboats and toys and things like that, up to obviously usable and functional brackets, and then all sorts of much more advanced and fancy things as well. One of the things that we're using the printers for lately with COVID-19 has been all of these headbands that we've been making for face shields and donating to schools, hospitals, healthcare facilities, and things like that. So very versatile piece of equipment and really easy to get started on, which we're really excited to be able to offer. So if we head over here, you'll see we've got our electronics bench and electronics equipment. This is one of our areas that's really growing a lot lately. We've obviously got soldering stations, we've got multimeters and all of your hand tools, your pliers and your wire cutters and stuff like that. We've also got several power supplies. We've got a really high quality Metcal soldering station. Then we've got a ton of components and parts and pieces, those things that you always need for your electronics project, but always end up having to order and wait for them. We've got a bunch of those here for members to use and take advantage of. We've got a really high quality heat gun, and then we've got over in our cabinet over here, we've got a ton of our higher quality equipment. So we've got some oscilloscopes, we've got more power supplies, we've got a spectrum analyzer, we've got a solder sucker, and so really a pretty well built out area, but also one that we're really excited to begin expanding and making more useful for other things like Arduino and microcontroller programming, iPhone and cell phone repair, and a number of other different sort of electronics based projects and procedures. If we keep going over here, we've also got our photography area. This is kind of a cool space. This is a light booth that allows people to take high quality pictures and photos of whatever they make here. A lot of our members use this space to sell their items that they make on Etsy or eBay or on a personal website. This is a place that you can come and set up your items, get really high quality photographs, or we've got a drop-down backdrop that you can use for headshots or professional photography if you need something a little more professional like that. We also provide a high quality camera and lenses, as well as some of the lighting and umbrellas for people who want to learn a little bit more about photography and might want to take advantage of some of the equipment before they get into it. They can use some of ours and get some practice here on site. So this is our little community store that we have set up as well. This is a place where members can come buy some snacks, get a little bit of food or drink while they're working away here so they don't have to leave. And then we've got this small consumables store where we sell things like bottles of glue. We've even got XCarve CNC router bits. We've got gloves, we've got brushes for painting, painter's tape, and even a few pieces of material that work in the wood shop or on the laser cutters. This is an area that we're really excited to continue expanding, but it's a place where members can come, hopefully get what they need, and save themselves a trip to the hardware store or the grocery store so they can keep working on their projects and keep being productive. So one of the things that gets done here a lot at Make Salt Lake is we've got a ton of people that are working on van build-outs for van life or for resale. Currently we've got 4 or 5 vans and RVs being worked on, but we've got people that do complete build-outs from totally torn down raw walls, insulation, flooring, cabinetry, wiring, plumbing, all the way up to being a fully livable vehicle. They'll park here on site, use the wood shop, use the electronics bench, and be able to sort of build these things out all the way from scratch. So this is our wood shop. This is one of our most popular areas. We've got a ton of industrial equipment. This shop is several steps above what you would typically be able to have in your garage or even above a lot of typical cabinet shops. We've got all of our hand tools and hand power tools here, really high quality Milwaukee stuff everywhere. We've got a couple of specialty tools like this nice high quality Laguna bandsaw that we're really lucky to be able to use. All of our sort of benchtop tools here, sanders, router table, chop saw, all this sort of stuff, really useful and necessary for pretty much any type of woodworking. So then we've got some of our industrial equipment. We've got right here, we've got our planer. This is a 20-inch planer with an 8-inch jaw on it, allowing you to do really big pieces. It's also outfitted with an upgrade to a spiral cutter head, giving you really finished product work. Over here we've got a few of our lathes, some of our specialty tools. Of course we've got our array of clamps because that's always necessary anytime you're doing woodworking. And then here we've got our dust collection system that runs the entirety of the larger equipment. Coming around this way we've got our joiner here. This is an 8-inch joiner, also outfitted with a spiral cutter head, again bringing it several steps above your typical garage shop or even most cabinet shops. And then this is our table saw. You always need a table saw in a wood shop, and this one, especially being outfitted with this extra large outfeed table, allows you to run 4x8 sheets of plywood and all sorts of stuff without problems. We've got a small overhead sander here, and then as you can see, a bunch of wood shop storage for member projects and materials and things like that to help ease in the process of being able to work and find success here in the wood shop. So Make Salt Lake, being a community workshop, it works a lot like a gym membership, except obviously we have a much larger sort of community aspect to it. If you become a member, you can actually get 24-hour access to all of our shops and equipment, so you can come in day or night and work on your projects. So these are our laser cutters. This guy right here, this is a full spectrum laser. It's a 90-watt laser, which means you can cut through up to about ½ material in a single pass. It will cut or etch, and it's actually really easy to get started on. So we teach training courses on how to use this equipment so you can get started right away and start doing your own designs. All sorts of cool things that this will cut into. Most typically people use solid wood or plywood, composites like MDF or particle board, but it'll also do a number of different plastics. It'll do leather, it'll do fabrics, and it will even etch stone or ceramic like this, so that you can do etches in things like granite countertops, tile, glass, or mirror. So then we've got our laser cutting workstation here, where we've got a computer with Illustrator and a number of different other programs that you can use to be able to design and then send your programs to the laser. This is our second laser. This is a Red Sonja. This is a little bit less powerful. It's a 40-watt laser, so it won't cut through quite as thick a material, but really good for etching, much faster, and has the ability to do large etches that will complete much quicker than the full spectrum. So different tools for different projects, but we do have access to both of these available for our members. So some of this equipment can definitely be a little bit challenging to use, and so we have several things set up to be able to help people learn how to use it and make sure they're using it safely and appropriately. So we have certifications on most of our complicated machines to make sure that people understand how to use them before they dive in and start making things. So next up, we'll go into our machine shop. This is one of our newer areas. It's only been around for a couple of years and is one of our most advanced shops that we've got on site. It's made up of a handful of larger pieces of equipment. Right here we have our manual mill. This is really good for doing precision work on metal, facing it, cutting it, drilling it, tapping it, and all sorts of really interesting and complicated types of machine work. This right here is our newest acquisition. We purchased this a few months ago, and this is a 1940s era Monarch 10EE lathe. This is a really well-established, well-considered lathe used for turning metal and doing all sorts of lathe work and machining. We refurbished this spring to be able to bring it up to full functionality, and now we're able to certify people on it, get them squared away with the safety basics, and make sure they can start cutting safely and find some success on their projects. Then we've got this machine over here. This is a Tormach metal CNC. So CNC stands for computer numeric control. Basically, it allows you to design using a computer program and then send that information to the computer, or to the CNC metal cutter, which will control the head and the tables, allowing you to custom design and custom cut pieces. If you want things that are very repeatable, cutting the same piece over and over again, or if you want things to be extra super precise, you can use the computer to program that and then send it over to here to have it cut it automatically, so you don't have to worry about the precision of your own control. Next up, we're going to head into the back room where we have our welders and the rest of our metal shop. So in here we have our metalworking equipment. We've got a few basic entry-level pieces like this flux core welder, as well as a horizontal bandsaw and some general cutting and grinding equipment. A little more advanced, we have a brand new plasma cutter that we got. We also have over here our Miller MIG welder, and in the closet we have a Lincoln TIG welder as well. Members can get certified to use that equipment, which is really, again, a few steps higher than you might be able to get in your typical garage shop or your own personal metalworking stations. In addition to sort of the hand tools, angle grinders, hammers and saws and things like that, we also have this small forge. This was actually built for us by Wasatch Forge and can be used to do simple things like knife making or general metallurgy, as well as casting. We've had a number of people melt down some low temp metals and use it to do special casting for their projects. We've got anvils, we've got hammers, we've got tongs, and all sorts of the things that you need in order to make stations like this work. So Make Salt Lake is a nonprofit organization, and we actually work in conjunction with another nonprofit called the Utah Arts Alliance. They steward this whole piece of property, and they rent out different areas of it to other artists, makers, painters, photographers, violin makers, and us. It's a really good partnership that allows us to not only have access to awesome space like this, but also participate in events like Illuminate and the DIY Fest and other sort of Salt Lake-based areas and festivals and events. In this building, which is the Utah Arts Hub building, we have our XCarve CNC, we've got our Textiles and Sewing Lab, leatherworking, Cricut cutters, and we've got our print studio with our printers and button makers and sort of office supply equipment. So let's check out the XCarve right here. So this is our XCarve CNC. This is actually our newest area at Make Salt Lake. As you can see, we've got basically a DeWalt wood router here. You can mount up a number of different types of bits in it, and then it's hooked up to this XYZ gantry that is CNC controlled. So you can use this computer and use the XCarve design space to be able to design your project and then send it over to this controller, which will tell the router where to go. It allows you to cut through material, to cut out parts and pieces of certain shapes, or just etch into it to give different designs and things very similar to the laser cutter. We do have classes available for this, as well as certifications to get you squared away. Again, sort of a complicated piece of equipment, but really great for people who've never used a CNC before, because it is actually fairly simple to get started on it and start making your projects. So upstairs here in the Arts Hub building, we have our print shop and we have our Textiles Lab and leatherworking studios. We'll start here at the print shop. So in here, we have a bunch of our sort of office supply equipment. So we've got a high quality inkjet printer here. This does up to 11 by 17 photos, allowing you to do much higher quality stuff. We've also got its big brother, the Canon Pro here. Also does larger photographs and higher quality prints. We've got a laser printer for sort of your everyday printing needs. And then we've got this guy, which is our large format. This prints 24 inches wide off of a roll, so it's great for posters and banners. We use it around the space for a lot of stuff internally, but of course our members are also welcome to use it. In addition, we've got some other fun things here. We've got button makers for making pins and buttons. We've got spiral binders, laminator, there's a letter folder, stack cutter, label maker, paper cutter, all those types of tools that you may only use them once or need them for one specific project. So instead, come down here, get a membership, save a little bit of money, and get access to everything else that we've got in addition to that one piece of equipment that you need. Let's head over to the Textiles Lab next and check that out. So this is our Textiles Lab. This is actually a really interesting area because this was really driven by member desire and requests. One of the things we do at Make Salt Lake to get the membership engaged is we make sure to regularly ask, what is it that you use Make Salt Lake for? What is it that you can't do that you wish you could do? And what else do you want to see here? And for a long time, overwhelmingly, we heard textiles, sewing, costuming, cosplay, and all of that sort of stuff. And so last year we got together and rented this room and set up our entire new textiles and sewing area. So a few of the things that we have here, in the corner is our Cricut cutting machines. These are vinyl cutters, but they can do a lot more than just cutting vinyl. You can cut out patterns to make stickers or bumper stickers. You can do heat press vinyl to make t-shirts, like my Make Salt Lake shirt here. You can also use them to cut leather for different patterns or fabric. Really versatile machine and really easy to get started with. We also have a lot of the accessories that go along with it, including t-shirt presses, the weeders that allow you to pull the pieces out of stickers and things like that, as well as other sewing things like lint rollers, cutting supplies, cutting mats, a big workbench and stuff. So that's sort of our Cricut setup. So when it comes to the sewing stuff, we have several different types of machines. One of our fancy pieces of equipment here is this embroidery machine. This is actually, again, CNC driven and allows you to do custom embroidered patches using software on the computer. You can design your own patterns and have it do business logos or characters from TV or whatever you're interested in, but you can custom design it, and this will do multicolored patches on various types of materials. We do have a certification on this to show you sort of the basics of using it and get you squared away to be able to use it however you're interested in. As we move along here, we've got our Brother serger machine. This is great for doing seams and stuff. A really fancy piece of equipment and really useful if you're doing any sort of clothes making or repair, as well as things like curtains for vans and things like that. These two machines here, these are the Singer Confidence machines. These are sort of your basic catch-all sewing machines, really good for typical sewing projects. We have 4 of those available for members. And then these gray machines that are down here are the Singer Heavy Duty. These are not true industrial machines, but about 50% stronger than the Singer Confidence, making them really good for jean material or canvas or things like backpack strapping, and just a little bit tougher and a little heavier duty for those harder projects. We've also got irons and ironing boards and sort of, again, general Textiles Lab type equipment. We also have in this area a few of these bins which are available for storage of projects and materials, and we also have a bunch of bookbinding equipment. One of our members has for a long time taught basic bookbinding, and so we've got things like book presses and all of these sorts of glues and adhesives and things that you need to do beginner bookbinding, which is really cool. It's part of a series of classes that we've had that teach people skills that they wouldn't be able to get necessarily in other places. And then this final area in our Textiles Lab is made up of a couple of different things. We have our jewelry bench here, which is great for sort of craft jewelry. We've got wire wrapping stuff. We've got, things for costume jewelry and sort of basic jewelry equipment. And then we have our leather bench. And for the last several years, one of our members actually put his personal leatherworking equipment on loan to us. And we've had that available to us for a really long time. We're in the process of replacing that and upgrading a bunch of that equipment to really bring this place alive and get people excited about making things like wallets or purses, belts. We'll have rivet setters and doing things for doing snaps, as well as all of the cutters, reamers, stitchers, and various hand tools that you need for doing really high quality leather goods. One of the awesome things about Make Salt Lake is the community aspect. We're an entirely volunteer-run organization, and so we rely really heavily on our members to step up and help us keep this place running, make recommendations, and help our members find success. So we actually have a series of volunteers, members who have stepped up to caretake certain areas and lend their expertise. They're usually professionals or ex-professionals in certain areas, and they're around, they're on site or available on our message board to talk to people about their projects or about the tools and give them guidance on things. I always say, one of the most amazing things that we have to offer is, in fact, our knowledge base here. As cool as all of the tools and equipment are, the community that we have and the experience and stuff that everybody has all the members have here is what really makes our community incredibly useful and incredibly helpful for getting people started, getting people to learn new and challenging skills, and to find success on their projects. So if you're interested in Make Salt Lake and want to learn more, go to makesaltlake.org. You can send us a message, you can schedule an in-person tour to get your questions answered, to see the rest of the space, and to get signed up for a membership. So we hope that we can see you around sometime soon, and keep making.